All right, welcome back to the Fabrication Station podcast. I'm your host, Mike Wagner from Cornfield Customs in Milford, Ohio. Really glad to have you guys listening, and we're really trying to get everything better and better. We don't really have a whole lot of new stuff to talk about with the show. I'm working on getting the audio level squared away for a lot of people that have been asking about that. That seems to be the hardest thing I've been dealing with, but we're working on it, and keep those questions coming to the email. Today, our revolving co-host is Gene. Gene, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Well, my name's Gene Atkins from right here, Goshen, Ohio. Got a shop. Started working on cars. I don't know. I guess I was around 16, 17. I would say professionally, getting paid to work on cars anyways. Been doing it forever. Dad kind of dabbled in it whenever I was younger. And I started working at a shop right here in Goshen, and as a kid it didn't work out. Moved on to other things, and came back around full swing whenever I was laid off from a chemical plant that I was working at, and started my own thing out of my shop at my house, and it grew pretty fast, so just went ahead and took the leap of faith and made it happen with a small building right here. It's like 2,500 square foot. We had 2 lifts and not a lot of space to move around in there. And that was about 4 years ago, and we moved into a little bit bigger building, a little better setup. Now we've got 3 lifts. I guess we could call it 4 bays, and 2 extra guys now, and things are just moving right along. We started doing basic stuff with brakes, suspension, exhaust work, so on and so forth. And now we've gotten pretty big into the LS cars, doing a lot of really cool projects right now, actually. We've accomplished a bunch over the years, and it's just growing bigger and bigger every time we get into it. So,
yeah, and for everybody that follows me on Instagram, a few weeks back I posted a picture of an LS turboed F100 doing a burnout in front of the shop with irritating the neighbors. That was Gene. And you've also been over, was the
allegedly that was Gene.
Allegedly, yeah. Was the Mazda, was it twin turboed or single turboed?
It had a single S300 turbo on it.
Yeah, what year was that one?
It was a 91 FC RX-7. It had a 5.7 LS1 in it with a big single turbo.
Nice.
So it ran pretty well.
Yeah, I'd say so for a little tiny car. Well, cool. We're glad to have you on, and hopefully you'll be on more and more as one of our long-term revolving co-hosts. So our special guest this week is Jeff Peters. Jeff's been around a long time. I've known Jeff. I don't know. I guess I'll let you introduce yourself and kind of go over your history, but we probably met 6 or 7 years ago at a Bailey event when you were working with Bob Bleed. But tell us a little bit about yourself, Jeff.
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. Yeah, Mike, I guess we probably did meet at it was like a Bailey introductional sheet metal shaping. I think they had just developed that new power hammer or something like that, and they were like, "Come on down, try them out." And so yeah, that's been several years now.
Yeah, I think it's been about 10 years, because we haven't done any Bailey classes in probably 3 or 4 years with everything that's been going on with COVID and all that stuff.
Yeah, it seems about right, because I think 23 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember 23.
Those were the days. Was that year 23 also?
Yeah.
You were both 23?
No, how old are you, Jeff?
32.
Yeah, so I'm 35.
Oh,
so
right on. Yeah, I'm 31. I'll be 32 next month, so yeah, pretty spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess on my behalf, I started off just as a young kid, working with my dad as a hobby, 10, 12 years old, and just tinkering in the garage. And I always had like a passion for it. I was always like drawn to it, like fixing stuff up, and I like making stuff and fixing things that are broken, and stuff that's not broken I shouldn't have been digging into. But
yeah, I can relate.
But yeah, I just started off really young, and just went through school, went to college, and second year in college, I just remember like really diving into like what hot rods were, and remember like the ham was a big deal, Jalopy Journal, getting involved with that. You kind of meet, like, this is before Instagram and stuff, so like you're meeting these people on the Jalopy Journal, and it's like, wow, you know, like you could put the face to the name. It's like as if it were Instagram today.
Yeah, yeah.
And so like I kind of, you know, I was like in school, and I'm just going to school for like business, and I'm like, man, you know, like I really want to work on cars. I never stopped, you know. I always had a project at the house. And I remember coming back sophomore year, and I remember that going down to the, you know, the Lone Star Roundup, and I wanted to get an internship. I'm like, man, I really want to see what this is about, like, you know, fabrication and building hot rods and chopping tops and stuff like that. So I'm like, dude. So I kept bugging these guys. I went in for an interview, and I just, you know, they weren't even hiring. I just was like, hey, can I like come here and sweep the floors? And I think after 2 weeks of pestering them, I shut up constantly. They're like, all right, yeah, you can, you know, the roundup's coming up in 3 months, and we could use an extra set of hands, like running errands and stuff. I was like, done. I'll do whatever it takes.
Yeah. What shop was this?
This was the Austin Speed Shop.
Okay,
so
awesome.
This was back in 2010, I believe. And they're like, yeah, come on down. We could use it on like Tuesday and Thursday, you know, maybe like half day. And I was like, all right, well, I had nothing going on. So I just showed up every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And this is, let me tell you, this is free.
Yeah.
I was like, I knew what I wanted to do, and I wanted to make some stuff. So I was like, you know, like anything I could do, like just get me in the shop. Let me, you know, maybe I could watch some of the guys like weld or stuff. I didn't know what I was doing, you know.
So this wasn't what you went to college for then, right?
No, not at all. Like
Were you gonna be like a cat litter box scooper then,
or? Dude, the cool thing was, you know, so this is like the golden era of the speed shop, like Bob Bleed, Patrick Tilbury, Luke DiCerchio, you know, Cale Withers, I mean, Rudy Morales. Like it was like cool dudes working at this shop.
Yeah, that was the days of the A team. I mean,
yes,
you know, it's all. I mean, being able to meet Bob and, you know, Patrick and everybody over the years, you know, it's been super cool, and then everybody's branched off to do their own thing. But I mean, that was, you know, I mean, that was a big deal back then.
Dude, it was like it was the golden era, as I refer to. It's like we got to work on so many amazing cars, and like just the energy in the shop and the city and the people, they just wanted it. It was just everybody came together as a community and was just like, this is going down. It was the hot spot to be, and cool shit was happening.
Yeah.
And I remember my first day, they were like in a jam, and they're like, hey, we really need some help on, I think it was Dave H's 32 through, and it was like old Survivor, hot rod with a Hemi. And they're like, hey, we need some gas tank brackets. And Bob was like, you think you could make some gas tank brackets? Have you ever used any tools? I was like, yeah, I could do it. And
did you actually think you could do it?
Yeah, I mean, I was confident. And so I was like, Bob gave me like a pattern, and I was like, all right, well, I said, if these guys are going to take me seriously, I got to come up with something cool. So like I drew out my own bracket. It was all like drilled out. And then I went and started making it, you know, cutting on the bandsaw and stuff like that. And I showed it back to Bob. I had like Patrick welded up for me. I didn't know how to weld yet. And I showed it back to Bob, and he's like, oh shit, you're hired. Nice. And literally like 2:00 the first day, he's like, you don't need the broom anymore. Like, we're just going to put you on this, and you're just going to, I'll guide you.
This was the very first day you were there?
Yes.
Nice.
Yes. I jumped in full feet and just went for it. And like the rest is history. I got to do some amazing projects, like just badass hot rods. And that's what they were all about back then. It was so cool.
Yeah.
Initiative is everything.
That's right.
Everything.
Yep.
It was such a fun time. And after that, I spent about 3 years there. Really got close with Bob Lead, and we became partners. And he moved back up to Milwaukee. That's his hometown.
Yep.
And I was on my way out. I was, you know, ready to do some new things and learn some new trades. And so Bob was like, do you want to come with? And I was like, yeah, why not? You know, it's like you're young and you just kind of exploring life and just like being a free spirit. I'm like, let's do it, man. Yeah, I'll move up to Milwaukee.
Yeah, what a culture shock moving from, Austin where it's nice and hot to
Yes.
Milwaukee where it's everything but.
Dude, I moved there and it's the season of the polar freaking vortex. And it's negative 40 degrees wind chill. I'm like, what the hell is, and people live up here?
Yeah.
And I mean, it was nuts. And I made it about 2-3 years and I was like, it wasn't home for me, but I will give it to Bob. Like, he took me under his wing and he taught me amazing things on how to put together traditional hot rods as they should be. And I look up to him as a big mentor in my life as a builder, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Bob is such a great guy. Like, when we met at the Bailey class, I mean, he was just great to be around and full of great stories. And then when we did the car build with Chris and Jimmy Shine, and I think you came up for that, and Bob was there, Kyle Yoakum,
Yeah.
I mean, that was a really good work experience where we all spent a week working on that car, and I'd really like to have Bob on at some point, but I know he's busy like the rest of us, so we'll have to kind of put some pressure on him.
He tells great stories. I'm sure you could get him.
Yeah. I mean, he'd probably
he's
be
so
one.
Entertaining.
Yeah, he'd have to be on 3 or 4 times. I mean, with his music career and then the hot rods, and I mean, he's just a great guy all the way around.
Yeah. So after about 3 years with Bob, I was like, Texas is my home. I got to go back, and I came back, and I was just kind of doing some jobs to get by, and Tardell reached out to me. Keith Tardell, Rex Rod and Chassis. He reached out and they knew I was back in town, and he's like, "Hey, I'm opening up a shop, and I'm wondering if you'd like to come work for me." I was like, "Man, I'd love to." Tardell. I'm like, "Dude, this is unreal."
Yeah.
He's such a renowned traditional hot rod builder, flathead builder. I mean, his background is unreal, especially coming from his dad too. Like he grew up in it.
Yeah, and I really want to get Keith on here, but I'm going to wait till Blue Bonnet season's over because we know how much he loves, the Blue Bonnets and frolicking in them. So that'll be.
Did you ever see the picture in the bathroom?
Oh yeah, I've seen I've seen Keith enjoying the Blue Bonnets.
Oh man!
So if we get him on, that'll be a good story for him to talk about. But I mean, even with his flathead stuff, I've been talking to him about building a new a race engine for the Roadster once we get kind of all the bugs worked out. So I mean, he builds some incredible stuff too.
He's the man. When he can make them flatheads sing, that's for sure.
Yeah,
dude, some of the best sounding flatheads ever come out of that shop.
Yeah,
and I've actually I've been with Keith for about 4 years now, and he's really given me the opportunity to take my metal skills, fabrication skills to the next level. I get to work on serious cars. This one car came in, it was an all aluminum blown Arden 34.3 window.
Oh, nice.
I mean, just the coolest parts, and I built the whole chassis and the exhaust, and it was one of the most incredible sounding motors I've ever heard. And it was just, it was so rewarding. After you do all that work and then you fire it up for the first time, and it's like, man, those are the pipes that I built. And it's just an unbelievable feeling, Yeah. It was so cool.
Yeah, and last time I was down there, I mean, it's been about a year ago. Was it a 2627 T Roadster on a 32 chassis you were working on?
Oh yeah. That
was a super nice car. And I mean, you were doing such killer work on that chassis.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that was a cool car. It's I fit a 32 firewall in that thing as well.
Yeah.
And that's getting a blown Arden.
Oh, nice.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that's what was going in it.
Maybe that's a top secret project. You might have to ask Keith about that one.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a full on car, man. It has 8 individual exhaust pipes coming out of it.
Oh, nice.
So I got to build those. It turned out really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's something I've been way into lately is exhaust. And you know how you kind of dive head first when your interests pull you in certain directions, and it's just you're all in.
Yeah.
I think where I've been heading.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and you've got some exciting news, like not to cut you off from talking about Keith's stuff, but you recently branched out onto your own, didn't you?
I did. My wife and I actually bought our first house together
Oh,
about 6 months
congratulations.
ago.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Sorry
Big
to hear
deal.
that. In this market anyways, I don't know how it is where you are, but
Oh, it's probably the worst.
Yeah.
You know, Austin area, it's unreal. And we got turned down like 6 times before we got this place. And but it finally happened. And you know, unfortunately, like life pulls you in directions. So it was bittersweet leaving Keith's, but you know, my family's this way, and he's about an hour and change, you know, to get to his place now. So it's just too much of a commute.
Yeah.
And but it kind of it allowed me to say, you know what, if now is as good as time as any, and so I went for it. And it's been 3 months now. I just opened up my own shop. It's called the Hot Rod Preserve, and it's going to be in Hutto, Texas,
Nice.
July 1st.
That's
So,
awesome.
the Hot
Yeah,
Rod
right.
Preserve.
Yep.
There's the plug
And,
for you.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm just taking a few things at my house, you know, just getting started, and now it's like exploding, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I better get into the shop, like
Yeah, it
ASAP.
doesn't last long when you're at home.
Yeah.
You run out of room real quick.
I thought like, oh man, we'll get into this casually, and, you know, just kind of ease into it. Nope, that didn't happen. Got completely out of control. But it's good. It's really good.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I mean, that's what we like to hear, you know, of everybody that's opening their own shop. You know, I mean, especially me, you know, I like to see other people succeed and us all work together, you know, to try to make the community and the industry better.
It's probably one
Absolutely.
of the sketchiest things you'll ever do in your life.
Oh yeah, I mean,
going out on your own.
It's terrifying.
Especially this,
Oh.
you just leave a job, move back to where you went back home, and then you have no job again. You have
Yeah.
no income, and you bought a
Oh, man,
house,
that's-
and
Yeah,
you know,
Perfect timing, right?
yeah, no
Goodness.
kidding. Talk about stress.
yeah,
Oh, I'm through the roof, you know. 12 years of, you know, comfort professional shops, and then, yeah, just decide, oh, yeah, let's get married, buy our first place, move away, and start a job or start my own business. Wow.
yeah.
Kind of did it a little bit backwards, but it'll work out.
That's right.
Yep, you got to be confident for
That's-
sure, you know.
That's exactly right.
Yep,
I think that might be the initiative thing again.
Yeah.
You just took initiative on life. So,
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, really looking forward to, you know, seeing what comes out of your you know, your future endeavors there with your place. I mean, I think that's awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I got actually a few cars that are coming in. That's really cool projects. 41 Merc. We're gonna chop the top on it. 34 Roadster traditional build. 34 5-window coupe, another traditional build. A lot of really good things happening, and I'm excited to share it with everybody once I get going.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing it online.
Thank you. Yeah, I need to be better about posting pictures. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
That's so difficult to
Yeah.
find time to actually let everyone know that you actually do work on stuff. You know, you don't
know,
just
right?
you don't just have a business that does nothing.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely terrible about posting pictures or updates of, you know, customer cars, and that's probably it's very underrated also. So
Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, I mean, this day and era, you know, like, how else can we put ourselves out there?
yeah, you have to. Social media is the way. So.
Yeah, and that's the best thing is, you know, it's free. It's not like you're spending thousands of dollars a month trying to pay to advertise somewhere when, you know, Instagram and Facebook and forums, the forums that are left, you know, it's all free as long as you can put in the time to, you know, put the content out.
That's right.
You'll always find yourself battling with the phrase, there's not enough time in the day, and then you add something else to the plate. You know, you want to add pictures and posts and try to reach everybody, but then you fall back into there's not enough time in the day. So
Yeah.
You don't have kids yet, right?
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
And Mike doesn't either.
No. I have a lot of other irons in the fire and interests.
Yeah, so that'll add another slowdown to life, but it's a good slowdown.
Yeah, for
if
sure.
if so you choose.
Yeah. Well, do you guys
Yeah.
want to get into some listener submitted questions for the week?
Yeah, they're probably tired of hearing us talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool. I do want to make a point, though, before we get too deep into the questions. Kind of what we talk about with questions, whether it be me, Gene, another co-host, or special guest. What I wouldn't say what we're saying is gospel. It's I'm putting out information that I've learned along the way over the years, being in business and learning new things. And that's kind of what I want everybody to contribute with is, their personal experience, what works for us, but also it might not be good for everyone else. Kind of take what we're saying with a grain of salt, and just keep that in the back of your mind. Like if you ever run into this situation and be like, hey, these guys were talking about this, just think about how we've handled things, reacted, good, bad, or indifferent. And it maybe use it as like a learning, like, hey, I've heard 4 or 5 people say something similar, so maybe I should pursue a similar path. But, it's all kind of just our own personal anecdotes and life experience. So it's not gospel, and don't take it as gospel.
Right on. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So our first question is from Tim A. What has been the hardest thing to learn in fabricating or running your own shop? Gene, you want to answer this one first?
Probably balancing time. You've got, so myself, I don't do a lot of fabrication. It's very minimal, and anything that gets outside of what I consider minimal, usually bring the bracketry and whatnot or welding over to Mike and have him knock it out for me. So at least it looks good.
Yeah. Sometimes when I want to put forth effort, I try.
Right. But yeah, I'd say balancing time, and not saying yes to everybody that calls you or shows up at the front door or pressures you, or just because they're friend of a friend or friend of family. I would say my biggest flaw, I'm 4 years in, I'm not by any means a successful individual that has buckets of money, but saying yes to everybody was probably the worst thing I ever did. Every single person that asked for a brake job or putting a set of long tube headers on their Mustang or, LS swap in their car, whatever it was, I always said yes. Yeah, sure, I can, put a new fuel filter on. And I said yes to 7,000 different people that month and only delivered on 4,000 of them.
Yeah.
And then you have now 3,000 pissed off customers as opposed to 3,000 customers that maybe you wouldn't have said yes to that would have been happier going somewhere else and not bad-mouthing you. So saying yes doesn't always work out.
Yeah, and that's kind of a double-edged sword that I found, is you say no to somebody and they're instantly offended. Like, oh, am I not, am I not good enough for you to do work for? So it's
sometimes yes.
Yeah, sometimes yes, sometimes no. But it's such a hard thing, and you want to be the nice guy and you want to help everybody out, and not that you want to be buddy with everybody, but I mean, people think I'm an asshole all the time, but I genuinely do like to help people out where I can. But like you said, with telling people no, I mean, everybody in business is going to go through this. You're just going to have to kind of say no. Or like one thing I have found, especially recently, I'm not taking on any new projects just because I'm so busy. If you word it like that instead of no, I don't have time for your project, because that just it seems to rub people the wrong way. If you say my schedule is not permitting me to take on any new work, that's still saying no, I'm too busy.
A little better, yeah.
But you're twisting the words around to make them feel happier that you're telling them no.
Right. That's
I completely agree with you guys. I mean, saying this yes too much is really been it's been a burden.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially just starting out. It's like, whoa.
You just gotta, and even sometimes if you're saying no, maybe realistically you are saying no because it's not a job you want to do, and you're saving that spot for a job that's going to be something you want to do, something that's going to be quicker and out the door and carry less stress on you over the long-term period of, I wouldn't say life, but that project or whatever other project it could have been. So sometimes no is better than yes, even if the money's not there with that no.
Yeah, and kind of like with me, I think the hardest, it's kind of an off tangent but relatable, the hardest thing for me that I've found over the years is just dealing with the people in general. Like I'm very introverted. I don't like dealing with lots of people. So it's not even the telling people no aspect. It's just dealing with them in general. Like, I like to be left alone. I like, I lock myself in. I like to just be alone. So telling people they can't come hang out at the shop all the time, or I don't want to talk on the phone, or I don't want to go to car shows. I don't want to, I want to exist. I don't want to be everywhere and doing everything because it's exhausting.
So you just want to be social media famous, but not.
I don't even want to be social media famous. That's just. I wouldn't say I'm even famous social media wise, but the following I have, I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah, I
envy
don't
you for that, because obviously your work's appreciated, not just because of you being appreciated. I don't even think they like you. They probably just like your work.
Oh yeah, I mean,
if they could meet you, they'd probably unfollow you.
Exactly, and I mean, that's exactly how it goes. I've met people, and they're like, yeah. I shouldn't have made you a hero. And it goes back to never meet your heroes.
Yeah.
We're terrible people.
Yeah.
But that's what I found is just learning to handle the people, and kind of like my therapist says that people don't like me because I'm not fuzzy and warm. I'm blunt and to the point. So. I'll talk to somebody and I'll answer their questions, but as soon as that question's done, I cut it off.
That's it.
Yeah.
I seen it one day. I was here, and that guy that come in, and you were talking to him, and you answered his question, and then he was just blank staring you, and you kind of just blank stared him, and that was it. And I was waiting for the ice to break and the tension in the air from like nobody knowing what to say. You were just done. All right, well, see you later.
And I still struggle with with that, but I'm just not a good small talker, and I'm not good at handling people. So
you weren't disrespectful.
This might be all like car guys things. I don't know. I think we're all crazy.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's definitely something wrong with all of us.
We are complete psychos.
Yeah.
And like you were saying earlier, and I was going to bring it up, but you were saying the golden era where you got the A team or whatever, and you don't really see a lot of quote unquote friends that enjoy actually working on cars and getting shit done these days. Like, that doesn't happen. You don't see groups of guys like wrenching and banging hammers together, or it's usually like a one-man show, maybe two. But you never see that anymore.
Right, man.
My dad back in the day had a large group of friends that would come over to our house, or he had like a little hole-in-the-wall shop, and they would just drink beer and actually work on stuff together and get shit done. Yeah. Now it's just people just want to see it done. They don't want to put in the effort. And I found myself guilty of that here and there. I'll fall into a rhythm of kind of just pushing the project to one of the other guys at the shop, and it kind of sucks because then I fall back to it like, man, you don't appreciate it as much as when you get to do it. But so that A-team thing, I think that's kind of a dying thing as well.
It's rare. I mean, like, you couldn't get us out of the shop. Like, even after hours, like, everybody just wanted to be there and hang out, and that's just, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's almost impossible today.
Yeah, and I think
that's why it's so fun to talk about,
Yeah, and a lot of it depends on who you work with. Like, I've been very fortunate to work with a lot of great guys in a lot of shops across the country, not necessarily being an employee, but, temporarily hired gun. But that's how it is. I mean, I love to work. And when Kyle Yoakum and myself were up in Wisconsin working on Chris's car, I mean, we would be there. We would go in at 6 a.m. and we would work till 4 a.m. that night, and we would go to the hotel, get 30 minutes of sleep, and come back just because that's where we wanted to be. Like, and I remember like my feet hurt from being on concrete so much that I took my boots off and I was working on a chassis in my socks because my feet hurt so bad.
Sheesh.
But, I wanted to be there.
Was that adrenaline rush?
Yeah, I mean, you're having fun. It doesn't feel like work.
And I mean, that situation was, we tried to take a pile of parts and fabricate a running, driving car, in 7 days. And I mean, that was a wild ride. Like, we kind of made it happen. It wasn't 100% done.
I was going to say, you pulled it off?
Yeah, I mean, it ran and drove under its own power on the last day. But, it's stuff like that. And you just have to find the right guys you have to all be on the same page.
Definitely.
Just one guy being in there that just wants to sit around and drink coffee and eat donuts and give everybody a hard time. I mean, it'll ruin everything.
It sure will.
Yeah, I mean, I know we kind of ran off on a tangent there. I mean, do you have anything else that you've found working in other shops or that you found on your own that's been a struggle so far?
I mean, I'm completely on the same page as you guys. You know, like that. I think we answered Tim's question. I mean, we're all on the same page, saying yes, balancing your time, and learning when to shut off too. You have to shut down at some point,
Yeah.
and that's important, just for your mental state, and you know, and enjoying your life too.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we're not. It's just you got to have that balance.
Yeah. I mean, we're probably going to be stuck on this question, you know, and I mean, I do know you have to take off here soon. You've got some other engagements tonight. So whenever you need to take off, just let me know.
Yeah, probably
And-
about 10 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. But
Sorry about that. That was my fault.
That's okay.
That was my
It's all
fault,
good.
everyone.
yeah. But like kind of what you're talking about is I live and work in a constant state of burnout. Like, you know, and I think
Yeah.
that's a constant struggle in this industry because it's hard to say no to clients, but then say no to yourself. You know, I always take on more than I can handle, more than I can do in the shop, at home, outside of all of it. So it's, you know, I know
We're
a lot of
alike,
yeah.
all of us.
Yeah, a lot of people struggle with burnout, and you just have to find out how to manage it. You know, like I'm always straddling that line. Like I see a therapist once a month, and I try to focus on, you know, my mental health and being a better human being every day. And, you know, I mean, that's kind of all I can do, but I still can't, you know, I still can't say no. Like, you know, I'm building the Streamliner, I'm building the Roadster, I'm running a shop, now I'm doing a
Yeah,
podcast.
add
Like,
the podcast on there.
yeah, it's like somebody the other
Yes,
day.
as hard as we try, we can't. Doesn't matter. We can't stop.
Yeah, somebody asked me the other day, they're like, the more that gets thrown at you, the more you put on your plate. And I'm like, you're looking at it the wrong. I'm like, this is like an all-you-can-eat buffet. I just grab another plate, you know? And they're like, that's not a good way to look at it. And I'm like, true, but that's all we can do. And, I mean, I think people that run big shops are the same way. You know, we're always right on that verge of burnout. And especially for new guys getting into the industry, you know, it's just take care of yourself, but you're going to get there. Everybody hits that wall of burnout, and you just have to figure out how to push through it or do what you need to do to kind of recuperate from it.
Yeah, you always got to take the good side with it and just remember we did this to ourselves.
Yeah,
And
you got to remember why you're doing it.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. What brought you to this in the first place? You know?
exactly. Because I mean, the thing that keeps me going is 10 years ago, I wanted to be where I am now. So, you know, I have to keep that in mind. Like, I'm where I wanted to be and where I thought I would never attain. So I have to keep pushing forward to be in that same predicament in 10 more years. Be like, man, this is amazing where I've come. And you just have to keep pushing through.
Yeah, definitely agree.
Yep. The next question is from Patrick M. And it's, how do you find someone who can do this type of work? And what kind of question should I ask for from someone? That way I'm not going to get screwed over, or, you know, what kind of rip-off tactics are in this field. And this is a really tough one. Yeah, I mean, if you want to go ahead and chime in on it.
Yeah, I think this is one where if you're in the industry, Patrick, like you gotta know your community, and you gotta know the guys that are around and into the trade. I guess, you know, you look at your social media and you see what's happening around in your area and what shops are doing what, and you're gonna know, like, oh man, so and so is working there, and they just moved up here. I mean, you got to know when to, like, maybe ask or jump in and look at the skills that they do have, and then maybe not knock them for the skills that they don't.
Yeah.
And go from there.
Yeah, and like I kind of looked at that question from a different point of view. Like, there's a little bit of missing context with that. Like, I don't know if he is like a consumer that knows nothing about about the industry itself, and he's looking for a shop to do a project for him. But kind of the way I look at it from that perspective is look at their previous work, and like one thing is look at their shop. I can be really bad for this because I've got a lot of long-term projects. I've gotten myself into situations, again, taking on more than I can handle. But I mean, if it's been 10 years and the same cars are in the same spot with no work done, and it's not good work, that kind of tells you all you need to, all you need to know. And like, just look at their quality of work, not so much Instagram. Instagram's all smoke and mirrors. But like, if you can go into their shop and physically touch and see, it's pretty straightforward. Like, even if you don't know what quality you're looking for, you know what bad quality is just by looking at it.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, if you can talk to previous customers, you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt because you can't keep everybody happy. But, ask them about the quality of the work, not necessarily what they think of the person. Because same thing, I'm not, everybody thinks I'm an asshole, but if the work is good and I treated them fairly, even if they don't want to go have lunch with me, that's kind of how I base it. Because, people are weird, but I mean, that's really all I can think is, kind of just do your homework and look at the individual and the quality they're known for.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. That's a good point.
Yeah, I think you nailed that one.
Yeah.
You're never going to get 100% positive reviews if you're looking for a shop that does A1 grade A perfect work and personality and cleanliness of their shop. You're not going to find, if it's reviews you're looking for, Patrick, you're probably not going to, you might, but I don't think you're going to find 100% perfect reviews on a shop. And I don't think I have any bad reviews personally, but I'm sure there's somebody out there somewhere that knows and has something bad to say. One thing I can say about myself is, I've messed stuff up. I'm not perfect by any means.
Yeah.
The work that I do, we do work and then the car leaves. It's we don't do long-term projects like Mike does or yourself, Jeff. But usually it's our LS swaps are 1 maybe 2 months and then they're gone and we usually don't see them again. But when they do leave or if a brake job leaves or whatever it is, if there's an issue, the first thing you should do is reach back out to me.
Yeah.
And then give us a chance to make it right because
your
we're not
name's on it.
perfect. Yeah, we are not perfect by any means, and we as humans we mess up. So if someone messed up, myself speaking, and the customer didn't come back to me and they just badmouthed me and took it to another shop, that looks pretty bad. But just because we forgot to tighten up a clamp a little bit more on your coolant line, that doesn't make us bad people,
you're not scum. You're not scum of the earth.
Yeah, but it looks that way when you go to another shop. Oh, well, that's easy to overlook. How could they overlook something so simple? Well, when you're tearing a car apart, engine and stuff, looking over. We had an issue. We caught it, but a fan plug. There was 2 fan plugs on a electric fan setup, and we missed one of them. Couldn't figure out why the AC condenser was heat soaking like crazy, and the pressures were going up to 300 psi, 400 psi on the gauge, and it was all over one fan plug. We caught it before it left, thankfully, but something so simple can be overlooked when you're doing a 5, 6, 7 hour job.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the stuff that drives me crazy. The little things.
It's the very little things. They'll ruin your life.
Yep.
So.
Hey, Mike. There's one question that I'd like to answer.
Yeah.
It's the one that you said you want to do for each show. Is kind of somebody, what they pursue for fabrication.
Okay.
That's that one
Yeah,
question.
because I'm guessing you need to take off here in a few.
Yeah, I do. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good, man. So the question is, what is some advice you would tell young guys or anyone else looking to pursue fabrication or hot rodding more seriously?
Man, that's a great question because, for myself, and like my shop, like I'd really like to inspire a younger generation as do you guys,
Yeah.
It's just, that's definitely like one of my number one goals. And I don't know exactly how to do that, but I think just being open and allowing, an open door to say, hey, if somebody wants to learn, then I'm going to give them a shot. I'm not going to turn them away.
Yeah.
Just like your situation when you got your job, your first day in the door where you were at.
Yeah.
You never know. They could have missed out on you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they could. I mean, you don't ever shut the door on somebody that's really wanting to try.
Yeah.
And I think it can go a long way. And for somebody that doesn't know much about fabrication, if they're like, oh man, maybe I want to be a fabricator. Well, like one thing that's cool about fabrication is, man, it allows you to develop creative freedom, and it can change your mindset and teach you, wow, like there's so many things possible that you can develop out of this, and it gives you the confidence, and allows you to handle different tasks and things through that nature.
Yeah, I mean, it teaches you so much. It's not just building a skill of like how to bend metal or weld or turn wrenches. I mean, it's valuable life lessons. That teaches you responsibility for keeping your equipment nice and not losing your tools and basic tool maintenance. I mean, it goes so much deeper than just I'm going to teach you how to weld.
It sure does.
I mean,
Yep.
it's kind of a life-changing thing, and that's one reason I really wanted to make this a standardized question on the show, because hearing similar things from everybody in the industry, just get out there and do it, or just make it happen, or try to be inspiring. It's that way there's a common theme, or a common thread that we can all work on, and it just make the community and the industry better as a whole.
Yeah, I think that
Definitely.
that question asked is more about not so much directly about getting them into it, but are they really into it? Or
Yeah.
if you're not, are you willing to put 110% into it?
Mm-hmm.
Whether that be going to McDonald's and flipping cheeseburgers, and there's not cracking on anybody that goes and flips cheeseburgers, because I eat your cheeseburgers, so keep flipping them. But are you making the best damn cheeseburger you can possibly make? Are you putting the right amount of pickles on that cheeseburger?
Yeah.
Don't skimp out. Don't do a shitty job on your cheeseburger, because whoever's eating that cheeseburger is going to appreciate it. They might not remember your name, but you got to do your best at it.
And it's really funny you say that, because I used to go to like the local trade schools where I graduated from, and I would talk to the students. And, that was always one thing I said, whether they, it be at the school or if they came to a field trip here, is it doesn't matter what you're passionate about, and I would always use the cheeseburger thing. I say, like, if you
the
like,
simplest.
Yeah, if you like flipping burgers, be the best damn burger flipper that's ever been. And guess what? You will never struggle, because you are focusing on bettering yourself every day.
And it won't go unnoticed.
Yep.
Just because you're flipping burgers at McDonald's, somebody's going to notice it. And maybe it's not McDonald's. Maybe it's at some steakhouse somewhere or whatever. Or go flip your own cheeseburgers.
Exactly.
Start your own cheeseburger business.
Yep.
It's so much more than just working at McDonald's or pushing the carts at Kroger. It's a life lesson, just like Jeff was saying. It's but like both of you said, it's going to circle back full circle into way more than just that paycheck.
Exactly.
Definitely.
Yep. Well, Jeff, I know you got to take off.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're good, man. I mean, we've all got lives, and it's you going and getting family pictures is way more important than sitting here bullshitting with us. But do you want to plug like your Instagram stuff and your website, anything that we can help grow your business?
Yeah, you can follow the new shop page at the Hot Rod Preserve on Instagram, and then my personal page is Peterson Express. And you can reach out from there, and keep a lookout for upcoming projects on my end. I'm gonna definitely post some more and keep you all updated.
Cool. I mean, I really appreciate you coming on, and hopefully everybody listening goes and checks him out. I mean, Jeff's a great guy. I mean, every time we've been around each other, I mean, it's always been awesome. So make sure to check him out, and we'll definitely have you back on maybe, 6-8 months down the road, check in, kind of see how the new shop's going and how business is growing from there.
Love to, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Good luck on the new shop, man.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Have a good night.
You too.
All right, we'll kind of keep on. We'll finish out the show with some of the other questions. Johnny asked, what are your thoughts on traditional hot rods versus high-end show cars, their quality of work and design? I'm going to kind of tie this into, race cars and pro touring, just pretty much traditional work versus, kind of the modern quality that everybody's seeing out there. For me, I like it all. I like the style of traditional cars, but I like the quality and the design of new stuff. So I kind of twist those together. I'm not real big on the pro touring aspect and, all the fancy computer computerized suspension and that kind of stuff, but I just like clean, tidy, and well executed stuff. How about you, Gene?
I guess to put it into my perspective on my end over here would be kind of like the maintenance jobs, brake jobs, water pumps, stuff like that, versus our LS swaps that we're getting pretty big into. We've got some pretty cool stuff right now that I'm pretty proud of. And the difference for me really is the maintenance jobs. They're not as fun, obviously, as the LS swaps and the cool, loud stuff that makes a ton of power and blows the tires off. But it's usually makes more money. A brake job definitely, for the time spent, makes far more money than putting a new engine into a car. But on the flip side of it, you get to actually enjoy what you're doing when you're working on that swap job for us. So I think that for me, I have to have both for that balance. Obviously, the money takes quite some time to get the money from those big jobs. Obviously, you got to float a lot more money, and then the brake jobs they keep you fed, they keep your belly full throughout the week for me. So it's kind of a fine balance of I have to have both. I don't think I could shut up my shop and just go strictly only performance, whereas my shop name AutoWorks Performance has it in there, but that's what I want to do. That's what we would love to do, but we can't only do that. Not right now, at least. And we're still growing. We're 4 years into an actual building, and maybe another 4 years down the road, we will just do that. We'll have the cash flow to back it and be comfortable while working on those jobs.
And like the big thing I've found is like some of the earlier traditional stuff. I don't want this to come across offensive to anybody with, it's not about, picking people's work apart or anything like that. We all start somewhere, but we all need to strive for quality. You see some of these traditional cars or, traditional race cars, and it's like, good enough. It's just a race car, or it's a traditional hot rod. I can overlap panels. It'd be like an LS swap coming into you, and it's held together with the wires twisted up and just electrical taped.
Right.
Does it work? Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Is it right? No. So
it gets the job done, but it's not right.
So I struggle with that because I like everything to be done and executed well and to the best quality, even if the styling is more traditional or simple.
Right.
So it's kind of a gray area, especially crossing from pre-war hot rod type stuff to modern, like what you're doing with the LS swaps. But it's I think no matter what you're doing, do the best you can on it quality wise and just try to do better tomorrow. Whether it's you're putting an LS or a turbo or you're working on your Honda, just don't cut that corner and say, a wire nut will fix this. Just
take a couple extra minutes. A couple extra dollars. Just make it right, and also not just for aesthetics, but in the long term, it's going to last a lot longer and cost a lot less money.
Exactly.
So it's kind of that spend the money now or spend the money later. Spend it now, because it's double now than it is going to be quadruple later whenever that messes up or whatever.
Because I get it all the time. Like people like, why are you, like on the Roadster for Bonneville, like, why are you putting all this detail into a race car? Well, because I like it, and it's just, that's just the thing is, I like detail and I like clean and sanitary things. Does everything need to have holes in it and be riveted? And no, it could be very much more simplistic and purpose built, but I like that little flair. So that's kind of where it goes, traditional versus that, modern street rod pro touring thing where it's a lot of detail driven work. So I don't know if that really answers it. I know we kind of just rambled on about it, but it's, to me, it doesn't matter what you're building as long as you're doing nice quality work and you're striving to do better. Call it a traditional hot rod or a race car or a show car. Well,
the term do your best is kind of a cheap out, really. You should strive to do better than your best. You don't know everything. You're always going to learn every single day. You'll learn something new, and your quality can only get better. If you allow it to get worse, it's never going to get better. You're going to stay in the same place or just fall behind again. And don't let that time frame back you down. You know, if you got to get it done on Friday, don't try to get it done on Thursday. Get it done on Monday. If it takes an extra couple days, get the quality in there.
Yeah.
You know, it might cost a little bit extra time, but it'll be worth it. So that's something that I've definitely, since starting this on my own, I've definitely worked towards doing better and being tidier with where we put our wires and how we tie them up, what we use to tie them up with. So, and we're still getting better. You know, I'm on, I look at other people's work and definitely learn from it. You know, I'm no means am I the best. I'm definitely not the best. I will never be the best. There's always somebody out there better than you. So as long as you keep that mentality, I think I'm answering another question actually right now. So
no, I mean, it's good. I mean, that's these things kind of just weave in and out.
Yeah.
And, you know, kind of on what you were saying there, I get asked all the time, like I think this year makes 16 years in business. And everybody's like, how did you grow so big so fast? Which I don't really think I'm that big of a business or whatever, but some people do, and that's on them more so than me because I don't really want to be the best or anything like that. But the way I've progressed as fast as I have is I'll come to work on Monday and I do the absolute best that I am capable of doing. You know, I give 100 to 110% on Monday. And then Tuesday, I'm going to come in and I'm just going to give it that little bit more. So every day I'm constantly pushing to be better. And it's not even about better as a craftsman or a fabricator. I'm trying to grow as a human being and be a better person. You know, I'm trying to treat people better, treat myself better, treat my body better. So it's always a constant path of growth, whether, you know, in every aspect of life. And then it just grows exponentially. Because if you're doing 110% on Monday, and then you have 5 more days, I mean, you could be doing 300% of what you were doing on Monday by Friday.
Right.
And it's just constant. You know, if you do that every day and just constantly push a little bit harder, you're going to grow so much faster.
Progression, just like you just said, a little bit more each day. And no matter what, you're doing a little bit more. And everyone's going to have those days.
Yeah.
When you don't, when it's just an off day, you're going to have the day when you're just like this. It's just not that day. And maybe you take that day and you just throw it in the freaking trash can because you don't need to come to work and put out shit work because you're having a shit day. I mean,
Yeah. And even like when that happens, what I try to do is, so I might not be able to do better than I did yesterday because I'm having a bad day, but I assess that day and say, look, this is mentally, physically, whatever, this is the best I can do. And I'm going to just do it.
Yep. As long as you're not lying to yourself, if you genuinely think in your own mind that you are doing the best you can possibly do, that is all you can do.
Yep.
But you can't go through life and each day and each hour just thinking you're doing your best.
Yeah.
But you know damn well you're not.
Yeah, you have to be honest with yourself.
Yep.
Yep. So the next question, this is from Tom. How do you handle an unruly customer that has unrealistic expectations, a bad attitude, or is constantly slow on paying their bill? I tend to be a little harsh on this topic, and people think I'm full of crap, but I fire them. I mean, that's...
You can fire a customer.
Yeah, yep. And I try to give them the benefit of the doubt. I give them a 3 strikes, you know? You get 3 strikes of not paying your bill on time. You get 3 strikes of being in a bad mood. You get 3 strikes at yelling at me. And after strike 3,
I like that.
You're done.
I like that. I don't think I don't do the strike system. I can honestly say I've never fired a customer. I kind of just bend over and take it, I guess.
Yeah.
So I've gotten a little better at saying no myself. I guess for me to answer how to deal with those customers, read the customer. Every person is readable. You know, just stop it before they become a customer.
Yeah. Well, and for me, the bad part is I don't deal well with people because, like, I've mentioned it before, and we're going to probably touch on this topic every time we do a podcast because I try to be super transparent, but I'm not good at reading people because I am very blunt and honest and to the point.
You'll shut them down.
Yeah,
they shut down on you.
Yeah, I just don't deal well with bullshit. And you get some customers that's what they are. They're a snake oil salesman, you know, or a Bible salesman. Like, hey, you know, and they're going to sell themselves to you. And I just don't handle that well because I can't I get a gut feeling that I can see through the bullshit, but I've been wrong before.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, yeah. I mean, you just got to do your best. I mean,
yeah. So
we've
I try
gotten
to
to where
protect myself.
We've gotten to where we are right now by making good and bad judgment.
Exactly.
And, you just got to learn from that.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't happen the first customer you get. Your first customer, first of all, there's never really a first customer, but that first customer, you're going to say yes regardless. And if they come to you and you do the job and they're not happy and they're pissed off and they decide they don't want to pay, I will say I've had a few customers that I'm just like, you know what, just don't worry about it then,
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll have that customer and because you're going to aim to please.
Yeah.
You do whatever it takes to please them. But hopefully you find yourself in a position where you don't have to please them. Like Mike said, you fire them because there's plenty more customers knocking down your door.
Exactly. And I used to be a lot, I'd come off the handle a lot more. So the 3 strikes rule is to help calm me down so I don't blow things out of proportion.
Right off the rip.
Yeah. Because, there's been cars before where a guy gets super shitty with me and says he's not going to pay his bill. I've cut his car into a bunch of little pieces and thrown it out in the driveway, says, come get it then. Or you don't want to pay the work, I'll undo the work.
Yeah. I think we spoke about that the other day. I was asking, I don't remember what we were talking about, but I asked you that and you said, I think that's what you said. You undid the work.
Yeah. And sometimes that's, take a ball bat to a piece of sheet metal and be like, here, you want it, you can have it. And you destroy it, which, I try not to do that as much anymore because I'm trying to mellow out as a human being and not come, come unglued. But it's happened before. You get a customer that shows up and they knew what it was going to cost before they showed up, and then they try to beat you up and they motherfuck you to your face and you kind of lose your cool. And that's, back to the first question, what's the hardest thing that I've learned through doing business? And that's handling the people. Yeah. So now I try not to engage. Like if they're motherfucking me, I walk back in the shop, I lock the door and just let them go away.
Yep. Well, maybe give them time to cool down too,
Yeah.
Let them understand they're definitely in the wrong and it's not going to work.
Yeah. And now it's just, I don't have the time or the patience for it. So, if somebody comes in here and they're getting real crappy, I just say, look, man, let's square up on what we're owed. If you can't handle that, just take it. Get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll have those customers that already, before they drop the car off, already knew they wanted to get one over on you because they got a price somewhere else and they just wanted a better deal and you couldn't give them the deal, but maybe they felt like you were some type of a pushover, but in the end it doesn't work out for either one of you.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, you get clients that have been screwed over by other shops, so they're apprehensive and they're going to push back a little bit.
Right.
And you want to be able to work with those people, but sometimes you can't work through their trauma.
Trauma.
They've just been hurt so bad by other shops that you could shit them a gold brick and they would complain that it wasn't too.
Correct.
There's just some people you can't make happy, and I'm at the point in life where I'm not trying to make people happy. I'm just trying to build cool shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I find myself sometimes though I'm dealing with we're trying to get work in and out. Like I said earlier, the small jobs. Like I'll take a lot of small jobs. I've got a new guy that we just brought in, and he is taking on all the small jobs.
Mm-hmm.
We did an AC condenser today, threw him on it, got it in, got it out, got it done. Skipped and missed. Like I said earlier, he missed that plug, but he got 3 small jobs done today. You can say yes to those small jobs, but the big jobs is where you kind of, for me anyways, is where I'm way more tedious about who I pick and choose. Because the small jobs, it's pretty straightforward. You need today you need AC. So this lady needed AC. What's she gonna say? No. You came because you wanted it, not because you needed it, and now you need it. So you're always gonna. There's shitty customers.
Yep. Yeah. And that's with every industry ever. It's
not just cars.
Yeah.
It's McDonald's.
Yeah. And I get a lot of questions, on Sunday questions and throughout the week, private message like, man, I've got this customer that, they're really riding me hard. And it's like, for me, I can't put up with it anymore. So it's like right now, I'm booking into 2026 on big jobs. I'll just take your toys, go home, dude, and I'll put somebody else in their place.
Yeah. Somebody else would be way happier to be 6 months ahead of their promised date beforehand. Mm-hmm. So
And it's,
I think at that point if you hit them with that respectfully, you don't just slap them in the face with it, but you just kind of lay it out for you, like you were saying earlier, how to respectfully tell them no.
Yeah.
Now you're already a customer. They're in here. You just tell them nicely.
Yeah.
So you don't send them to their safe space. You tell them nicely that if not you, someone else. And I can assure you, 9 times out of 10, they're going to wait patiently.
Yeah.
They're not going to come pick their stuff up.
Yeah, because I'm dealing with that now. Like a guy, same thing. It would 6 weeks to even reply to an email about his invoice, and then, oh man, I'm sorry. It'll never happen again. The next billing cycle, guess what? Happened again. So then I'm like, hey,
late fees, right? You got late fees on there?
I got late fees, but
terms.
Yep, and it's, I'm like, hey man,
stick to them too.
Yeah, we talked last time that this, that was your last chance. Oh, I know, man, but. I'm trying, and I'm like, I'm just not the right place for you. So, I didn't say, you're fired, but, it's like, hey, we need to kind of terminate our work plan here. And, I was somewhat fair. I gave him 6 weeks free to get his car out of here. Like, you've got 6 weeks to get your project out of here. It'll be, you don't owe me anything. I don't owe you anything, but you have 6 weeks. And after that, storage starts. And right now we're on day 30 of him not paying storage either. But, you try to be helpful, but I know I'm not going to get paid for that storage.
Yeah, you can't get walked on, but
yeah, you got to put your foot down and take that stress out of life.
Right. Yeah, take it off of you and put it on them, literally.
Yeah, business is stressful enough, and you just don't need a bad attitude client screaming down your throat.
Yeah. I've got a couple of cars that sat around at the shop like that, and it weighs on you looking at them every day, knowing you're not going to get paid for it, knowing that it's taking up somebody else's space that could be making you money, looking bad on you. For me, I've got an open parking lot outside. Most of your stuff's inside, and for me, it's the same car sitting there for 6 months. Like it brings you back to the question earlier, the answer earlier. You got a customer coming in, hey, they've already been there twice. Why is that car still sitting there? Well, then you got to lay it on the customer and hope that they understand and believe and see. So, yeah, customers.
Yeah, you can't live with them, can't live without them.
That's right.
Yeah, and like, kind of tying back in, people come in here and are like, man, this car's been here forever. And I'm like, yeah, it has, but, some of the cars have been here a long time, and there's been personal stuff in their lives, personal stuff in my life, that have kind of gone into the mix to kind of delay projects. But I just try to be open, with the client, to like, hey, man, this is what's going on. This is how I screwed myself. Just please be patient. And if not, try to work, let's work together to come to a common goal. Like I try to be transparent in that aspect as well. Like, I'm not trying to lead you on or take money from you or anything like that.
Right.
But this is what's holding me up.
Yeah. And being truthful about your flaws or your mess ups are far more valuable than feeding a bunch of bullshit that you can't keep track of.
Yeah.
So, a lot of customers, the good customers anyways, if they're a good customer, they're going to appreciate you being straight up.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's what I've always tried to do, there was, a handful of years ago, I had, 2 or 3 employees. So we took in a bunch of work. The employee thing didn't really work out, and I got rid of employees, but I still have all the work. Still had the work. So I've been digging myself out of that hole. And, there's still a couple of those cars lingering around. But, one of them, the guy was in a real bad car accident, so we took a year off on it. And then, then he brought me a different project to knock out real quick. So it's kind of been in the mix. So when a customer comes in and they're like, man, this car's been here a long time, you need to make sure to be like, look, this is why.
Right.
It's not that I'm not working on it or I'm,
You're not kidding. It's been here a long time. You get a hold of that guy. Let me know.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things, you have to be transparent and honest and explain those kind of long-term projects. And some cars, they're $1,000 a month budget. On a $100,000 car, that's a lot of months.
Yeah.
So it's better to explain this is why these things are taking as long as they do, and kind of work through that. And for the potential clients and stuff, either for here or at your shop or anybody else in the country, if you're having a car built, especially by somebody that takes a lot of pride in their work, you just have to be patient.
Yeah.
We're only human.
Trust them.
We can only do what we can do. There's only so many hours in the day. And, for me, I'm only efficient 7 hours a day. I could be here 20 hours a day, but you're still only going to get 7 hours of efficiency. So I would rather be efficient on your project than, be here an extra 10 hours and not be accomplishing what I feel like I could accomplish.
Because they're still going to get billed for it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you just got to take the good with the bad, and hope you got good customers. Like, I swear it's like we're circling back, but it's you got to find your good customer and say no when you got to say no.
Yep. Yeah, well, those are pretty much all the questions we have this week. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter episode than we've had the last two, but
hopefully we won't be late and have to lose somebody due to it next time.
Yeah, if Gene shows up a half an hour late next time.
I was a half an hour early.
And then you left.
And then I had to leave.
Yeah.
So my apologies to everyone.
Yep. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
I don't think so. No, I mean, for the guys that are just wanting to get started on their own, whether you're wanting to start your own automotive shop, your own fabrication shop, just like Jeff said earlier, just do it. You know, if you take the leap, you know, you've probably been broke before, and if not, you're probably wealthy enough.
You're going to be broke again at some point.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's where I was going with that. And if you're not, you're probably wealthy enough to take the hit and realize it's not working, or be broke like you were once before and dig yourself out of the hole like you have before. Everybody's got something. There's a niche for everybody. I mean, you look at freaking social media and people are selling wooden blocks that they torched at their house and, you know, whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter. And they're just selling for ridiculous money. So if you're scared to make money, then yeah, I guess don't. But it's there. Don't be scared. Do it. If you're going to do it, do it. Don't second guess yourself.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, is there you want to give a shout out to your Instagram, Facebook, your OnlyFans, whatever you got?
So I don't have an actual
OnlyFans
OnlyFans anymore. I had to take it down. No, I've got a personal Instagram. It's Gino Atkins, not the football player. It's myself. That's my name, Gino Atkins. So that's that. I don't have an AutoWorks one, unfortunately. We do have one on Facebook, AutoWorks Performance. It's spelled AuTowerX Performance. One word, AutoWorks. Another word, Performance. So that's all I've got for you.
Cool.
What's our next week's guest? Do we have that picked out yet? Or?
Yeah, so next week's guest is Crystal Hess from Texas. She's a motorcycle customizer, and she is involved with Motorcycle Missions, which is a nonprofit corporation helping veterans and first responders with PTSD to find hope and healing through motorcycle therapy, which I think is super cool and amazing to be able to help first responders and veterans, work through some of their PTSD and other issues in their life. Kristen and I have talked about working together, doing some shaping classes down her way to help with Motorcycle Missions. So definitely tune in next week for our interview with her. Make sure to subscribe, like, and review the podcast. This will help us continue to grow and make the podcast better and better. Continue with the great questions we're getting through the email and social media. Again, if you would like to submit questions, the email is fabricationstationpodcast@gmail.com. Just shoot us over a handful of questions, and I'll kind of stockpile those to fit the guests that we're going to have at that time. That way, it kind of makes more logical sense. And I appreciate everybody listening and taking the time out of their day to check out what we're doing here. And thanks a lot, and we'll catch you next week. See ya.
See you later, guys.